Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Daily News Editorial. In this channel, we regularly cover editorial page section of the Hindu newspaper. In today's video, I will be covering today's that's 21st July the Hindu newspaper lead editorial article. This article is about the recent controversy about Pegasus system, which is snooping various high profile people. Listening to the article will give you perspective of the author and will also impart you the valuable current happening that's there in our country and outside. So let's begin. Pegasus is India's Watergate moment. Intelligence gathering needs to be professionalized, parliamentary oversight introduced, and liberties and law protected. If this government ever become a tyranny, if a dictator ever took charge in this country, the technological capacity that the intelligence community has given the government could enable it to impose total tyranny, and there would be no way to fight back because the most careful effort to combine together in resistance to the government, no matter how privately it was, is within the reach of the government to know. Such is the capability of this technology. Those words of San Frank Church, who led one of two committees on intelligence and surveillance reform established in the aftermath of Watergate scandal, as just as are just as relevant in India today, given the revelations of extensive surveillance. It is unclear by whom, but sign points to the Indian government by the use of spyware on people's phone. While there is much to be said about the international regulation of the unaccountable sale of spyware by shadowy entities such as NSO Group, it is equally, if not more important, to ensure that surveillance in India is made accountable. Go easy on the salt. My former colleague Sunil Abraham often likens surveillance to salt. A small amount of surveillance is necessary for the health of the body politic, just as salt is for the body. In excess, both are dangerous. While one cannot enjoy the liberties provided under the Constitution without national security, we must equally remember that national security is not meaningful if it comes at the cost of the very liberties such as security is supposed to allow us to enjoy. Excessive and unaccountable surveillance imperils privacy, freedom of thought, of speech, and has a chilling effect on people's behavior, while shattering the bedrock of the rule of law upon which a constitutional liberal democracy is built. The government claims all this surveillance is authorized and justified. But then the question arises, where are the prosecutors of where are the prosecution for terrorism, organized crime, espionage, etc., based on evidence from such surveillance? Who is ensuring that the surveillance is necessary and proportionate? Indeed, on the contrary, there are numerous examples of surveillance powers being misused for personal and political gain and to harass opponents. Earlier example, in 2012 in Himachal Pradesh, the new government raided police agencies and recovered over a lakh phone conversations of over 1,000 people, mainly political members and many senior police officials, including the Director General of Police, who is legally responsible for conducting phone taps in the state. In 2013, India's current Home Minister was embroiled in a controversy dubbed Snoopgate, with phone recording alleged to be of him speaking to the head of an anti-terrorism unit to conduct covert surveillance on a young architect and her family members without any legal basis. The Gujarat government admitted the surveillance, including phone tapping, but claimed it was done on the basis of request made by the chief minister by the woman's father. Yet no other signed, Yet no other signed by the state's home secretary. A legal necessity for a phone tap was ever was ever produced, and the Gujarat High Court shut down an inquiry into Snoopgate upon the request of the architect and her father, on the shocking basis that it did not involve public interest. In 2009, the United Progressive Alliance government swore in an affidavit in the Supreme Court that the CBDT had placed Neera Radia, a well connected PR professional, under surveillance due to fears of her being a foreign spy. Yet, while they kept her under surveillance for 300 days, they did not prosecute her for espionage. Non state actors such as SR Group have also been shown to engage in illegal surveillance. KK Paul, then the governor of Meghalaya, noted complaints by telecom operators that private individuals were misusing police contacts to tap phone calls of opponents in trade or estranged spouses. There are dozens of such examples of unlawful surveillance which seem to be political and personal gain and have nothing to do with national security or organized crime. Yet there are few examples of people being held legally accountable for unlawful surveillance. The law. Currently, the law authorizing interception and monitoring of communications are Section 92 of the CRPC for call records etc. Rule 419A of the Telegraph Rules and the rules under Section 69 and 69B of the IT Act. Indeed, it is unclear when the Telegraph Act applies and when the IT Act applies. A limited number of agencies are provided powers to intercept and monitor. In 2014, the Ministry of Home Affairs told Parliament that 9 central agencies and the DGPs of all states and Delhi were empowered to conduct interception under the Indian Telegraph Act. In 2018, 9 central agencies and one state agency were authorized to conduct intercept under Section 69 of the IT Act. Yet, Intelligence Organizations Act, which restricts the civil liberties of intelligence agency employees, only lists 4 agencies, while the RTI Act lists 22 agencies as intelligence and security organizations established by the central government that are exempt from the RTI Act. Thus, it is unclear which entities count as intelligence and security agencies. Further, a surveillance alphabet soup exists with programs such as CMS, TCIS, Netra, CCTNS, and so on, none of which has been authorized by any statute and thus fall short of the 2017 K.S. Puttaswamy judgment, which made it clear that any invasion of privacy could only be justified if if it satisfied 3 tests. First, the restriction must be by law. Second, it must be necessary only if other means are not available, and proportionate only as much as needed. And third, it must promote a legitimate state interest, that is, national security. In 2010, then Vice President Hamid Ansari called for a legislative basis for India's agencies and the creation of a standing committee of parliament on intelligence to ensure that they remain accountable and respectful of civil liberties. In 2011, the Cabinet Secretary, in a note on surveillance, held that Central Board of Direct Taxes having interception powers was a continuing violation of a 1975 Supreme Court judgment on the Telegraph Act. That same year, parliamentarian Manish Tiwari introduced a private members bill to bring intelligence agencies under a legislative framework. That bill soon lapsed. In 2013, the Ministry of Defense funded think tank, the Institute of Defense and Strategic Analysis, published a report, A Case for Intelligence Reforms in India, a core recommendation of which was the intelligence agencies in India must be provided a legal framework for their existence and functioning. Their functioning must be under parliamentary oversight and scrutiny. In 2018, the Sri Krishna Committee on Data Protection noted that post the K.S. Puttaswamy judgment, most of India's intelligence agencies are potentially unconstitutional since they are not constituted under a statute passed by Parliament, the National Intelligence Agency being an exception. In its 2019 election manifesto, the Indian National Congress, in what it may knowledge, was a first for a national political party, called for parliamentary oversight of intelligence agencies. Post Watergate reforms. The legacy of the Church Committee can be seen in the fact that the Snowden revelations in 2013 did not uncover any spying on opposition politicians, journalists, judges, and human rights defenders for partisan political ends. What was shocking about the Snowden revelations was the extent of NSA surveillance, the overreach of the powers provided under the Patriot Act, as well as the lack of sufficient checks and balances provided by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Code. The Snowden revelation led to meaningful reform of that code, and controversial domestic surveillance provisions of the Patriot Act expired in 2020. We need such reforms in India, which are aimed at professionalizing intelligence gathering, bringing intelligence agencies under parliamentary oversight, making them non-partisan, and ensuring that civil liberties and rule of law are protected. This is India's Watergate moment, and the Supreme Court and Parliament should seize it. About the author, Pranesh Prakash was a co-founder of the Center for Internet and Society and is an affiliated fellow at Yale Law School's Information Society project. Thank you.